She can do it. I believe in you all.
One of the hardest parts of riding with a donkey isn't resistance. It's when nothing is wrong and they still don't care if they fall behind. They're not upset. They're not scared. And they're not tired. They're calm. They're thinking. And they're making a decision that makes sense to them. I ask for about a minute, but when she says she's not ready, I end up by changing the question. Most riders read that moment as stubbornness. But what I've learned is that belief creates more problems than it solves. And if you're riding with horses or mules, this is where misunderstanding usually begins. And if you ride with horses or mules, this is often the starting point. Before a donkey is conditioned to stay in the effort, this is exactly the stage I'm working through right now with Wild Donkey Ah. I want to say this clearly before we go any further. When a donkey falls behind, I don't see that as this isn't working. I see it as information. A 5 to 7 mile ride, especially in the foothills or uneven terrain, is not a starting point for a donkey. It's an outcome. Horses and mules are built differently, not just physically, but mentally. They're bred and conditioned to maintain forward effort even when the terrain changes. Donkeys don't offer effort the same way. They conserve it, they assess, and they decide whether the work makes sense to them or not. So when a donkey falls behind, that doesn't tell me they're unwilling. It tells me they're not conditioned to stay in the effort yet. And this is where most people get tripped up. They assume speed is the goal. It isn't. This is one of the hardest things for me, guys, because when I'm out there right now, my goal is that Wild Donkey Ah can keep up with mules and horses. So that's my goal, is for her to keep up. But I have to remind myself that we're in the stage of conditioning her. She's not ready yet to keep up with mules and horses. So people often ask me, can a donkey really keep up with horses and mules on a trail ride? The answer is yes, donkeys can keep up, but not without conditioning. Another question I hear a lot is, why does my donkey fall behind even when they seem calm or even excited? And usually it's because calm or excited doesn't mean conditioned. A donkey can feel safe and relaxed, or even excited and willing, and still not be prepared to stay in the same speed over long distances, especially if you're in uneven terrain. So when someone asks, is my donkey being stubborn, or are they just not fit yet? Most of the time, the answer is fitness, mental and physical. And that's the part most people skip. You can actually see the difference on this ride. Hannah is asking her mule, Bruce, to step out onto a rock. And this is a little bit scary for him. So that's appropriate work for where her mule is at, including where she's at with her mule's mind and body condition. But I'm doing something different with Wild Donkey Ah. I'm not going up high with them. And that's on purpose. I stay lower and work on some of the hills at Ah's pace. Not because she can't do more, but because this is the real level she's ready to stay in without losing her effort.
Awesome.
This is one of the biggest advantages of riding with people who are willing to work on their own thing. Nobody is being rushed. Nobody is being held back. And no one is asking an animal to give effort that they're not conditioned to maintain yet. That space matters because it allows me to give Ah a mental break or quietly build conditioning at a level that makes sense for her. This is how conditioning happens without frustration for the donkey, and don't forget, frustration for the rider as well. This is the same approach I used with famous Seamus when I was conditioning him and ponying him either bare, sometimes with a saddle and panniers, or with my son riding. He could keep up just fine with my horse. I'd like to say that speed was never the issue, but when I was first teaching him to be ponied, speed was an issue. He was nervous about Stormy, my horse, but at the time I didn't recognize it as nervousness. I didn't start to understand that till much later. Eventually, as Seamus understood what the question was to him, then he could keep up just fine. Now, I didn't see this as a problem when he had to learn to keep up. It's just part of the process, guys. With Seamus, at first, I was just happy I could get that bugger to move. He didn't have any forward motion at the beginning. And each time we made progress on each ride until later on we were able to go into the mountains and he would keep up absolutely fine with us. So stick with it, guys. It'll come around. There's a big difference between a donkey that can keep up and with one that's conditioned to stay at the same pace with a good, calm, happy mind. With Seamus, once I focused on conditioning, not speed, things came around. He stayed more willing, more forward, and more consistent over time. And that's what I'm building towards with Awe. After getting Stormy tacked up for another ride, I'll often choose to ride my horse first and then do a short ponying session with Wild Donkey Awe. Ponying is a nice way to get her conditioned. She's not very sure yet about being ponied behind a horse, so at this stage, I don't always need to do it for the entire ride. One day, I spent an entire hour ponying Wild Donkey Ah. We'd go in a circle, and then I'd offer for her to go straight because she wanted to pull. Even more than pulling, she just wanted to plant her feet and not go. So in this entire hour, we only went about 100 yards. After that, I had a pretty clear thought. I realized I could gain just as much by enjoying my ride with my horse and then practicing ponying a little more when we get back. Doing it this way, my horse gets more exercise and Ah gets a mini session with a much bigger break. And that matters because donkeys learn through the release of pressure, just like horses do. They just process it differently. Earlier, I talked about how important it is to ride with people who are comfortable working on their own thing. This is why. I have more than one animal that I'm conditioning right now, and some days the best choice isn't to stay locked in one plan. By giving short ponying sessions, I can let her do the work she's ready for, without turning the whole ride into circle after circle. Our first ponying session, she planted her feet a ton. I had to even get off my horse and adjust my saddle. The next one, we spent an hour and went 100 yards. I was happy with this, but probably wasn't very much fun for my horse, so we changed things up again. Now when I get back from my ride with my horse, we do small sessions of ponying her in the driveway, just to help her loosen up her feet and continue to walk like she is here. These are all just the progressions that Ah is taking. And then other days, we do a ride with Ah, but those rides are going to be tailored always for her to help her stay happy and become conditioned. And then my horse is able to enjoy his ride without having to do circle after circle to help her, the donkey, Wild Donkey Ah, be okay with being ponied. After I realized I would gain just as much by enjoying the ride on my horse and then coming back and offering Ah a shorter, clearer session, my horse gets real exercise. Ah gets a mini lesson with a much bigger release, and that release is what teaches her, because donkeys learn the same way horses do through the release of pressure. They just process it differently. And if you watch her feet during those ponying clips, they're already coming easier than they were when we started. That's conditioning, not forcing pace, but building willingness over time. On this ride, we had 2 mules and 2 donkeys, and everyone was working on something different. That's something I want people to notice. Conditioning doesn't mean everyone has to be doing the same thing or moving at the same pace. Ah still has a dirt spot at home that she's not ready to go down yet. She'll come up it when we're headed back, but leaving, she says no. Right now, I'm not fighting that. I'm choosing another way. Because conditioning isn't about winning every moment. It's about knowing when to apply pressure and when to let understanding catch up. On this ride, Dan felt rushed, and his donkey, Honk, refused to go up a hill. Dan told the rest of us to keep on going while he worked with Honk the Donk down at the bottom. Instead of pushing through, Dan worked on getting a yes. That's another part of conditioning we don't talk about enough. Our own mindset. When we feel rushed, our donkeys know. Whether we're tense, they feel it before we ever touch the reins. When Dan finished his ride, Honk the Donk was saying yes to the questions being asked. They both had fun, and they were both better off for it. On this ride, Hannah and Reed were playing with rock hopping. Aw and I aren't ready for that together, so Aw and I went off our own for a bit. The kids got to go do what they wanted to do. Aw got to practice riding out by herself, and Dan did too. And that's the real picture of conditioning. We're not just conditioning their bodies. We're conditioning their minds. And when you respect both, keeping up stops being the goal and forward starts to come naturally. If riding and hiking with your donkey is something you want to work towards, I've put together a challenge for 2026 that's built around this exact mindset. To join that, just send an email to me at trainingwildburros@gmail.com, and I will send you a tracking sheet. There's no cost to join, and once you complete your challenge, then you'll have the option to choose from one of these to have made for yourself. Thanks for watching and have an amazing day.